Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of About Abroad, where it's my job to introduce you to people who have built amazing lives for themselves in various foreign corners of the globe. We're talking with expats and thought leaders about moving abroad, remote work, visas, and all the fun and practical knowledge that you need to know to follow in their footsteps. If you've ever dreamed of making a life for yourself overseas, maybe working remotely or embracing long-term travel, retiring or studying abroad, or even just taking a peek inside life beyond your borders, you've landed in the right place. My guest today is the head of immigration of Portugal at Lexidy Law, and her name is Diana Andrade. She's joining me to cover one of the biggest stories in the whole expat and digital nomad world, as Portugal's government suddenly announces in October that they're going to end the wildly popular NHR, Non-Habitual Residents program in Portugal. This has been something that's been extremely attractive for people who have been using the D7 or the Digital Nomad Visa to move to Portugal. And suddenly, by the end of the year, it's apparently going to be no more. We wanted to get into all the details, what we know, what we don't know, and what we think will happen, because a lot of the headlines you're reading out there are pretty misleading. There's a lot of questions yet to be answered, and we needed to get down to the bottom of what we do actually know. So the takeaway for me from this conversation is that it is not as bad as it seems, though changes are definitely coming and it's best to be informed. So that's why we have Diana on today. I hope you all will enjoy this one, especially if you're planning on moving to Portugal. A lot of really good information provided. Please help me in welcoming Diana to About Abroad.
All right, Diana, changing times in Portugal, the end of an era, NHR is coming to an end. What are we going to do? I'm so thankful that you joined on short notice to answer some questions. There's a lot of people very interested in this. Obviously, Portugal's one of the most popular, if not the most popular destination in the world for expats and people looking to spend significant time abroad. And so NHR has been a big part of that. And things are changing. We know that. I don't know that we have all the answers, but we know things are changing. So I imagine it's a busy time for you right now.
Yes, definitely. So first of all, thank you for this invitation. It's a great pleasure to be here and to give you some updates or not about the NHR. But the only thing at this moment that I can have sure is our country is the best country to relocate. As you know, I believe that you know, we have a beautiful country, nice people, nice food. So it's always a pleasure to receive foreign people that want to relocate. And even without NHR, which it's not ending yet, so we have some opportunities. We still have some opportunities. I think our country, it's worth it to come to Portugal. And about the NHR itself, well, I don't have answers or correct answers here, okay? So I will do my best according to the proposal of the state budget law and some news that we can follow, but answers or correct answers or definitive answers we don't know, we don't have at this moment. But I will do my best to help.
Yeah, that's a great point to make. That this is how these bureaucratic things work. They come out in phases. There's proposals, and there's votes, and there's amendments, and then eventually you end up with something. But where we are right now is in that gray area in between. So we have some hunches about what's happening, and we're going to do our best here today, because the fact is there's lots of questions. This kind of came out of nowhere. And so there's lots of questions being asked. We may not have all the answers, but we're going to do our best. And so anyway, we'll throw that caveat out there. As of the date of this recording on November 6th, this is all the information that we have available. And things may change between the time of recording and posting. So keep that in mind while you're listening to this. At the same time, I do want to agree with you. And I think your point about Portugal being an amazing place to live, even, whether NHR goes away or not, it remains factual. It is, these are two separate things. And I think we should spend a little bit of time on this before getting into NHR, that you have visa opportunities to move to Portugal, and that is not necessarily going away, if I understand correctly. But the tax regime that's very incentivizing for a lot of expats, that is sort of connected. A lot of people would take advantage of both opportunities, both to live there and take advantage of tax opportunities. The tax part just may be being diminished or going away. So first of all, let's clarify that. Is that correct?
Yes, it's completely correct. And allow me to give you some additional information, which is, okay, if NHR finishing at the end of this year, will be a lack of opportunity, of course. But regarding to the taxes, it's very important to inform that person who will come to Portugal, he or she will not pay double taxes. Okay, so of course we have some countries that we don't have the agreement to avoid the double taxation, and we need to check case by case. But I can tell you that we have more than 30 countries that we have this kind of agreement to avoid the double taxation, and they will not pay double taxes. So we need to analyze. The first thing to do is enter in contact with a lawyer, with us, so we can analyze what is the correct or the specific, the concrete situation. Okay, so it's very important to analyze, to understand, to have a great vision about the taxes, because sometimes you are thinking that the NHR will be a super good idea and you will have a very good benefit, but could be not like this. So we need to analyze case by case to understand the specific situation. And this is something that, we talk a lot about. Okay, NHR, it's good because you don't need to pay taxes in Portugal. It's not true. So we need to analyze. Of course, we have this case with dividends. We have this case with rates outside of Portugal. But, for example, with your salary, your active income, it's not like that. So we need to analyze case by case. You have Social Security. So we need, it's important. It's the first step. Not to decide, okay, now we don't have NHR, so we will choose another country. No, you need to, in fact, first thing to do is to enter in contact with the specialists in order to have a clear visibility of the situation, the concrete situation.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Every situation is very nuanced, and we often see the headlines associated with these visas or these tax regimes that are very incentivizing, and on the surface it can seem like the silver bullet to your beautiful life abroad, and in fact, there's always a lot of caveats, and so I think that's a really good point. Let's back up a second, because I think we dove right in, and because we're both kind of excited to talk about this, a major headline in the space that we live in. But at the same time, there may be some people listening kind of going, I don't even really know what NHR is. So let's just go do a couple bullet points really quick and just sort of describe for me NHR as it stands today, as it has been, just a quick synopsis of what this has meant for people over the years.
Yeah, so regarding to this regime, it's important to notice that instead here in Portugal, we have the progressive rates. So as soon as, first of all, I'm sorry, in order to apply for NHR, it's important to inform that you need to be tax resident in Portugal. This is the first thing to take into consideration. Then, as soon as you have your tax residence in Portugal, you can apply for the NHR if you fulfill the requirements of one of the professional activities, like super high qualified, like managers, like professors, like directors. So you need to fulfill this requirement. Okay, so the benefits of the NHR will be, instead of progressive rate, you will be applicable of the case of these foreign people, a fixed tax rate of 20% for active income and 10% for pension. Okay, it's the main benefit, together among with the fact that if you pay dividends, interests, or rents outside of Portugal, you will be exempt pay these taxes in Portugal. But you need to declare all your income in Portugal once you change your residence to Portugal. So you will not pay, of course, but you need to declare. So we have here some concepts. It's not super easy or clear sometimes, but first thing, tax resident in Portugal. Second, understand if your profession will be qualified as high value professional activity. Third, you need to declare your taxes, your income in Portugal, but doesn't mean that you need to pay taxes. So this will be at the end of each year, will be the work of the tax authorities and of course the lawyers and the tax specialists to analyze the taxes that the person needs to pay here in Portugal.
Well said. Thank you. One question about the people who you mentioned, like kind of high level professionals, are what the NHR is designed to attract. We have a lot of people here who are, remote workers. They're people, digital nomads. They're people who are, they're taking their job basically from home and bringing it here. So they might be a designer. They might be a solopreneur, or they're running their own business. They might be a engineer coding for a company. There are a variety of jobs. Generally speaking, do those fit under the regime?
Completely, absolutely. So it's high professional activities, and you value the society.
Okay, I see. And so the idea here is there's the first step is you obtain, for a lot of people, I guess you could be coming from within Europe and just move to Portugal and then apply for the NHR. And then for people coming from outside of Europe, they would first need to get a visa, which would be maybe like the D7 or the Portuguese Digital Nomad Visa, or some other means that in the past, I guess the Golden Visa, which is also perhaps going away, I guess. So you've got some pathway that you need to get to Portugal, establish residency, make yourself a tax resident, and then you apply for NHR and hope that you can get this reduced tax rate. And if you're talking about, 20% basically on active income, then that is effectively cutting your tax rate in half, or maybe even more, assuming your income is puts you in the higher tax brackets. Is that all kind of fair to say? Am I off point anywhere?
I can hire you to help you with this question. So so completely correct. But it's not only the D7 digital nomad, it's the most frequent, but it's not only this kind of visas. You can also apply, and actually at this moment, if the person wants, in fact, to live in Portugal and be able to wait more or less for like 2 years for the residence permit, it is a possibility to apply directly in Portugal for the manifestation of interest. So it's a process. Well, we have here a process that allows you to apply quickly, because imagine that you are a freelancer. You can open the activity before the Portuguese tax authorities with a need, with a proof of accommodation, and with a need, we can start the process directly in Portugal, okay, with a legal entry in Portugal as well. So it's possible to start, and instead of issue the invoices according to your activity outside of Portugal, you can issue the invoices here in Portugal, and then you fulfill all the requirements to apply for the manifestation of interest. Or if you intend to open set up a company in Portugal, you can also apply for this. Or if you have a promissory contract with a company in Portugal, you can also apply for this manifestation of interest. Of course, we have here the time or the delay against this process. So could take, at this moment, could take up to 2 years to have the residence or to have the appointment for your residence. But if you are willing to have the NHR and to live in Portugal and be able to wait for this period of time, could be a possibility, and apply for the manifestation of interest, because with that it means that you are in Portugal waiting to put your residence in a regular legal way. So you are able to apply with the manifestation of interest because you already enroll in a process.
I see. Okay. So is manifestation of interest, is this the title of a visa, like a particular type of visa, or?
No, it's a process. So it's not a visa. A visa, you need always to request at the consulate or the private entity outside of Portugal to get a visa. In Portugal, you will get a residence permit. Okay, always. So visa, consulate, residence permit, Portugal. A part of golden visa. Forget about golden visa because golden visa is a completely apart process. They call golden visa, but it's not a visa, it's a residence permit. So, but the rest of the visas and residence permit, consulate, visa, residence permit, Portugal. And in Portugal, you can apply. Imagine that you have the possibility to come with your passport. You have the 90 days to travel around Europe. You don't need a visa. So you enter legally in Portugal. If you enter legally in Portugal and if you fulfill the rest of the requirements, you can apply for an expression and manifestation of interest. It means that you are seeking of starting a new life in Portugal. You enter here, you like it, so you want to move forward with this process. In the past, this process was very popular with people that, just came with a contract, imagine an employment contract, and started to work and everything, and it was faster way to apply for a residence in Portugal. But at this moment, fortunately, because that means that our country is one of the amazing countries to live, the services are very delayed, and this is the most affected residence, so could take some time.
I see. So it would be important to highlight for people, I think, here that this is actually like a pretty exciting little hidden gem within the greater conversation that we're having here about NHR, because I think we have to think about NHR as like a bonus, like the cherry on top of an already really good situation, right? Like in Portugal, you have, obviously you're in the European Union, you have incredible weather, great history, food, culture, a relatively lower cost of living compared to some other places like London or Berlin, or even just France in general. Like, you can go across the board. There's a lot of reasons to move there. And then NHR was just like this extra bonus. It was like, oh yeah, and by the way, you get this favorable tax rate, which is very attractive. But the fact is that, like, Portugal is still very much so open for business in terms of being a place that makes it somewhat easy to move to compared to other countries. What you just highlighted there is a great example of this. Being able to arrive on your 90-day tourist visa and then just make a declaration that, hey, actually, I'd like to move my life here. And then you're able to stay until that case gets resolved. Like, that's a pretty unique thing. Go try to do that in the majority of other countries. It won't happen like that. So I think there's a bit of a myth out there that I think there's some clickbait headlines that are basically trying to spin this as if Portugal is sick of expats and nomads and doesn't want them anymore. And that's why this is happening. And the fact is that like when you separate these two things out, the tax bit, which is like this cherry on top, and the residency visa side of the equation, which allows you to come and stay and build a life for yourself, the latter is still very much so still open and still one of the most favorable situations in the world. So I think that's really important to keep in mind.
Yes, completely. And I agree. I completely agree with you, because it is in fact a great country, and it's not because I'm a Portuguese one, but no, it's true, because people with my age, we need this kind of people here. We need our people here. We have like a very low babies, the number of babies, for example. We need people like in the middle age to come to Portugal and live here, because we need this. We need for our culture. We need for our day-to-day. We need for a lot of reasons. And it's not only because we have a government, like sometimes they are part of everyone, because no one thinks like that. So different people, the people that wants to move to Portugal is super, very welcome. And it's a general way to see everything. So, and also I would like to share here something the government is discussing. And it's important because I just remember because of the people that Digital Nomad, for example, with active income. So they will end with this NHR regime, but I know that they are thinking to have not the same regime, of course. NHR will end benefit for Digital Nomad that wants to come to Portugal. They are studying, or they are thinking in the possibility to not to have the tax rate, the fixed tax rate of 20%, but to pay and a half of the taxes until 250,000 per year during 5 years, I believe. Yes, during 5 years. So it's not NHR regime, but it's something for the ones that want to come with an active income, and the most part of them will be with the Digital Nomad Visa. Of course, a D1 visa, a work employment visa, it's the same. So it's a person that wants to come and can come and pay and a half of the amount of taxes. So it's not a door or a window that open. And we can think that it's not everything is bad. We have here a possibility to help and to make our country a little bit more attractive. But I don't know more about that. Okay, I just know that they are studying. This is something that they put on the table in the document. So super curious about that. And I will have more news after the discussion. I think will be 22nd and 23rd of November.
22nd and 23rd of November. Okay, so that brings us to a point here that we should really make clear. So as of the time of this conversation, we're basically saying that there's been a proposal that just popped up in late October from the government to get rid of NHR. Proposal is by the end of the year, so that anybody that applies for it as of January 1st and doesn't have it wouldn't be able to get it going forward. That's the proposal as of right now. Is that more or less correct?
More or less. So if you have a valid visa residence until the end of this year, you can apply until 31st of March. Okay, or a manifestation of interest as well until the end of this year, you can apply for the NHR. At this moment, this is the proposal.
Question on that. So would that be for, like, let's say someone very specifically is considering moving to Portugal, they've been making their plans, they've got their visa lined up, but they weren't planning on getting there until, let's say, January or February of 2024. Would the advice then be to get to Portugal as soon as possible before the end of the year and apply if possible?
Yes.
Yeah. Or if you're in Portugal, right? Let's say you just arrived to Portugal and but you haven't yet done the application for the NHR, like go ahead and do that right now. You need to get that done as soon as possible. Okay. So that window is still open.
Yes, completely. Yes. And they are thinking to open a little bit more. So, but I don't know what they want to, the meaning of this, which is like, they want to open a little bit more with the pending process at the Portuguese authorities here, EMA, not SEF at this moment. But we don't know if will be a pending process at the SEF, not EMA, at this moment, or if will be a process that a person that is waiting for an appointment, this will count, because we have a lot of many people that is living here waiting for an appointment, but they don't have anything to apply. So they are discussing about that. So we have here a lot of questions. I think they will not have, but it's my personal opinion, it's not professional, it's my personal. I think they need to extend this period of transition because it's not clear and will be not fair for the ones that can't apply because of the lack of availability to schedule the appointment, for example.
Yeah, I would agree. See, watching this play out in some other countries where things like this have happened, it seems like, again, my personal opinion, definitely not a professional opinion because this is not my profession, but just what I've seen play out in other places. It's like the first proposal is very harsh in a lot of ways. And then it gets, it's politics and government. And I mean, it gets wiggled
Completely.
to where So I think hopefully over time, this will be loosened to where, people have a little bit more of a window to apply. But I know some people actually that are planning to make the move to Portugal in 2024. And, they definitely won't be there with this. This came out late October. So, I mean, they basically have 2 months to get there and so they won't be. So anyway, I tend to think like the quote unquote right thing will be done, but let's see. Anyway, okay, so that's good to clarify. And then, is it also correct to say that if somebody comes on in 2024, they've already obtained their visa, let's say in December of 2023, but have not yet arrived to Portugal, like, is there any way to do this without being physically present in Portugal?
I don't think so. Without being in person in Portugal, physically in Portugal, it's not possible. It's possible if you already have, imagine that you already have your visa, and for your visa you need your proof of address in Portugal and everything. It's possible, okay? But without anything, it's not possible.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So if the plan was to come in 2024, then like you have to make it 2023 to most likely.
It's better for now. For now, it's better with the information that we have, with the proposal that we have. It's better. Of course, let's see. Maybe in December, I will have more updates. But at this moment, I would say like it's not possible. Of course, if you really intend to come to Portugal and you want to take advantage, imagine that you have the Portuguese tax number underneath and the Portuguese bank account. Well, we save here like 2 months of work or 3 months of work, because sometimes the bank account could take like 2 or 3 months because of the compliance of the banks and everything. That means that we have 2 months to apply for the visa, and in some consulates, not all in every all consulates, we have a very low list of consulates that, well, they are very fast to work on it, and to running with the application. So, and if they have availability to schedule, there is like a super tiny possibility to apply for the visa if you have these 2 steps ready at this moment. Okay. So if you are in this position with a Portuguese bank account and a NIF, and if you can look very quick for an accommodation, we can just start with the process of the visa, and could be I think in some cases we have here a tiny possibility to have the visa until the end of the year. For example, London, the problem with London is the availability, but for in one hand, but on the other hand, we have at least our visa, our application could take like 2 weeks. We have two applications last week, yes, and they took 2 weeks to get the approval. So it depends. I don't want to say no. It's not possible. If you really want, you need to contact the person that can help you and try to our luck. We cannot guarantee, but we can try with everything, of course.
Perfect. That's all we can ask for.
We'll be right back to the show after a quick break for a note from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by my friends over at Lexidy. I've lived abroad in various countries, and one common denominator I've found is that dealing with foreign bureaucracy is a nightmare. Trying to navigate visa and immigration waters in another language is not something I'd recommend ever trying on your own, even for the most experienced of us. So when I recently had to renew my Spanish visa again, I turned it over to the pros at Lexidy. They've already helped more than 5,000 expats and digital nomads find a home and thrive in countries like Portugal, or in my case, Spain, also Italy, France, and Greece. Some very desirable locations indeed. So whether you're trying to obtain your first visa abroad, purchase a property, or work through international tax issues, Lexidy's team of friendly lawyers is here to simplify your journey. The team is super knowledgeable, bilingual, and thorough, and I seriously cannot recommend their services enough. My experience working with them has been incredible, and I can honestly say I don't know that I would have EU permanent residency if it wasn't for the help of the team at Lexidy. So if you're ready to make your move abroad, then Lexidy is offering an exclusive discount to About Abroad listeners. Grab 10% off your first service with the code AboutAbroad2023 and learn more over at Lexidy.com in the show notes and start your abroad journey today. If you've made it this far into the episode and you're still enjoying yourself, then I would love to ask a quick favor. Open up the app that you're using to listen to this podcast and leave a quick review. You can do this in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and really just about any platform that allows podcast listening now. If you can't find that in the interface of the app, then scroll down in the show notes and find ratethispodcast.com/aboutabroad, and you should be able to leave it from there. Thanks so much, guys. We really appreciate it and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
I mean, generally speaking with these things, like I would advise someone to give themselves, 6 months to at a minimum, just to like make sure that there's not a lot of pressure and you can work through the system. I mean, there's a lot of people involved in making all this happen. But it can be done faster and, in crunch time as you might be in right now, it's worth a shot if this is that important to you. It is really nice to hear, and again, I know you can't confirm it, but it's nice to hear for those that were considering applying for NHR, that there may be some other, tax incentive coming behind this. So it may not be, maybe it won't be quite as impactful as NHR, but, there might be something there. So I think that's important to know as well. Like nobody's really reporting on that because that's not a sexy headline, because it's much more, you're going to get a lot more clicks saying end of NHR, Portugal wants to turn away expats and nomads, and that'll get a lot more clicks. But I think this is the reality that it's been a successful regime for the country, and I don't think they're just going to like completely scrap all that work that they've done and all the infrastructure they put in place. So I think change is coming. It sounds like that's what I'm getting from you. Change is coming. What you see about everything ending right on December 31st is probably a little bit hyperbole. And there's a bigger window open. So maybe don't freak out if you just thought all was lost. That's what I'm hearing from you. If I was somebody applying for this or planning to apply for this, I would feel a lot better after having this conversation with you.
Absolutely. It's like this. Let me just update you about the discussion. The next discussion at the Parliament will be between 23rd and 29th of November. Okay?
Okay.
So they will discuss, the parties will discuss at the Parliament between 23rd and 29th of November.
Okay. All right. So we'll keep an eye on that when we'll know that potentially more changes coming. If you're listening to this after that date, then do a quick Google search and see if what we've said has still stands, or just reach out to Diana directly via the link in the show notes, and she might be able to help you. But before we move on from NHR, do we miss anything? I want to ask you a question or two on the visa side of things. But do you feel like we covered the situation with NHR as of today?
Yes, completely.
Okay. All right, great. So talking really quickly about like the visa side of things, you have the D7 visa, correct? That's no signs of that going away or changing or anything. Is that fair to say?
More or less. So last year we had the change with the Digital Nomad Visa. So
yeah, this is where I was going. You have this too now, right? So let's talk about this.
And they are different, and we need to be sure that we are applying for the correct one. So D7 visa, passive income, okay? Not active at all. So passive income, pensions, dividends, interests, rents, whatever. All passive income, you can apply for the D7 visa. Digital Nomad Visa, active income, and you must prove that you can work remotely. Okay, and according to my experience, it's important to have a strong proof that you work with someone. If you are a freelancer, you have an agreement with a company, for example, or with a person saying like, you can work remotely. This service will be provide to a distance. You can work wherever you want. You have a minimum of salary that will be at least 4 times the minimum salary wage in Portugal. And don't forget that I'm speaking very slow because it's very important to keep this information. 4 times the minimum salary wage in Portugal, and will be updated at the beginning of the next year. Okay, we don't have the final amount, but we have they are discussing, and the number that they put here outside was 820 euros instead of 760 euros. So you should prove, in average, for the last 3 months before the application, before the appointment at the consulate, that you have at least 4 times the minimum salary wage in Portugal with a digital nomad. I'm sorry.
So more or less, you need to have about 3,200 euros, around
What?
$3,500 salary per month. Round numbers. Go a little higher than that if you can. And that'll help your application, I'm sure. But at a minimum, you need to be in that range.
Yes. And it's important to prove with the pay slips, with the invoices, with the contracts, with agreements, but we need to prove this. Okay, it's super important.
Okay, and then on that visa, on the Digital Nomad visa, do you become a tax resident of Portugal, and under NHR, you would ideally get the NHR preferred tax rates. That's the part that may be changing or going away. Very likely is changing, maybe going away completely. But then you become a natural tax resident of Portugal as of right now.
Yes, it's true, but with the possibility to pay only 50% of the taxes until the amount of 250,000. Okay,
that's a really big deal.
Yeah,
that's like that's almost in a way, isn't it?
Too much.
That's a massive amount that I feel like this doesn't go talked about at all.
Well, to have this income per year, I would love to have. Yes, so like 50%. I believe that they will move forward with that if NHR
so this is the thing. So they're kind of saying NHR, the flat 20% tax let's just pretend that what they proposed, it happens. So in that case, NHR goes away, the flat 20% tax and the benefits that came with NHR go away. However, perhaps replacing that, this is the part we really don't know, is that they would instead shift it to like 50, you pay a 50% of the tax bill essentially, so like you're a normal tax resident of Portugal, you get your tax bill, cut that in half, and that's what that's still pretty incredible. Like I actually wonder mathematically how different it would be. Like it probably wouldn't be that different than under the NHR scheme for most people.
That is correct. And this is my opinion about that. But the difference is about the D7, because with the D7, with NHR, it's super benefit for the ones that came with the D7 visa, because the dividends, the rents, when you pay outside of country, here you are exempt. If they end with, so I think the worst scenario will be for the D7 visa, not for the Digital Nomad.
Got it. This is a very important distinction, especially for the audience here. I mean, I know that the rough demographics of who's listening, and a lot of them would be, as of today, they wouldn't, maybe 3 years ago or 5 years ago, they would have been D7 people because Portugal allowed that. Like other countries kind of like looking the other way, like, sure, you're remote worker, retiree, whatever, same thing. Now it's not the case. You have the Digital Nomad visa. And so, yeah, that's unfortunate for the people in the D7. But for those, a lot of people listening here who are active income earners and would want that Digital Nomad visa, they're still going to have the possibility of a really good tax. Yeah.
Of course, yes. And even for the D7 applicants, don't forget that you need to declare the taxes in Portugal. After that, they will see if you need to pay or not. We don't know. For example, I will give you a practical example with the rents. Here in Portugal, we paid like 28%. Of taxes. So I don't know what is the amount in US or UK for this kind of income. Let's say that it's 30%. Here they will not pay more, because they will see the amount of taxes. And I'm talking about US and UK because we have these agreements to avoid the double taxation. But they will not pay more here, So we need to analyze case by case and see what is the difference of taxes that the applicant will pay in Portugal.
Yeah, I think everybody's always freaked out about being double taxed, and for the majority of people, as long as you're moving to a country where there's a dual taxation agreement with the country you're going to and the country that you previously lived in, like, you'll be able to avoid double taxation. So, again, just blanket statement there. I'm sure maybe you can find some situation where I'm wrong. So seek professional advice on all things taxes. But that's generally what I've seen as well. So I think that's a really good thing to point out. It's like always something, people that are just dipping their toe in the water of moving abroad, like that's like one of the first 5 questions out of their mouth is something related to like, oh, but I'm going to get taxed in both places, especially for Americans, because we're told you'll always end up having to pay your taxes back to the U.S., which is true and a tiny bit untrue. It depends, quote unquote, is always the way to look at these things. Okay, so the thing I'm really excited about that you said there is that, like, a couple things that I pulled out that I didn't know, and I'm wondering if I can connect the dots here and see if I'm understanding correctly. So tell me when I'm wrong, even if it's enough. So early on, you said that someone could come to Portugal on like their 90-day tourist visa and then decide that they like it and apply to stay with the manifestation of interest. So you're basically saying, I'm here, I would like to stay. Can they apply for the Digital Nomad Visa in that way? Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
it's possible.
That's really
Yes.
awesome.
You need to register the activity. You need to have the number of social security, the NIF, a proof of residence, proof of accommodation, and that's it.
And you're saying NIF, that's like a national identification card?
Portuguese tax number. Yes.
Portuguese tax number.
Portuguese
Okay.
tax number.
Okay. So you apply for these things. You have these things. You're in the country. You apply for the Digital Nomad Visa. But let's say at this point you're 60 days into your stay and you technically only have 90 days. Are you automatically extended, like by having, can I stay past my 90 days because I've applied?
Yes. You can stay here and waiting here for the appointment for your residence. Yes.
Okay, great. And then
the problem is I'm sorry.
No, please.
No. The problem is when you want or when you need to leave the country for some reason and you want to return. You know what I mean? So the problem is when you need to return or when you want to return, because if you leave for your country of residence of origin, you can go. You don't have problem. You may have a problem and may have, because it's not like that all the time, is to return to the country or to just travel around Europe. It's not possible.
Okay, you can't travel around Europe during that time. Because your Schengen visa is done.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to point out. In Spain, we have a thing called a regreso. It's like while you're in that gray area, you can apply for basically a statement from the government saying, yeah, you can leave and come back, but you do have to go apply for that. Do you have something like that in Portugal? Not really.
No, what we can do, and we cannot do at this moment, I will explain, is to extend the validity of the Schengen visa. But at this moment, it's not possible because we have a law which is running until the end of this year, saying that you can stay, your visa, your residence permit, all your documents are valid until the end of this year. Okay, so only next year, and I don't know if they will extend this law. I believe so, because of this kind of situations like the delay and the lack of availabilities to schedule the appointments. So you will be regular in the country. So, but the problem will be the same. So you cannot travel around because you don't have a Schengen visa.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so it could be, I think you mentioned around a year or two, maybe even 2 years, did you say earlier, that it could be that you're waiting for this? So does that mean you could kind of be like trapped? There are worse places to be trapped, but you it could take that long. So correct me if I'm wrong. Am I correct on that?
Yes, you are correct.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
And so perhaps the best way, like the recommended way to go about getting the visa would be to apply ahead of time, like in your home country via the consulate. Would that be correct?
Yes, always the best solution will be to apply directly at the country of residence. Okay, not country of origin, it's the country of residence. Sometimes the consulates, they allow to apply at the country of origin, but the rule is the country of residence. You can apply for your visa residence, and then you can apply for your residence permit in Portugal. It's super important to have these two processes in mind, which is your visa residence will allow you to apply for your residence permit.
Yeah.
Okay.
The way I think it's confusing for people sometimes because we tend to group them together. But you could think about it like your visa is your ticket into the country in a way, and then your residency permit is like, this allows you to stay long term. It's confusing because you get, like, for example, a 2-year visa, but that's like your entry, and it's like paying for a ticket that allows you to come and go as you want. But the residency is separate, and you have to keep that in mind.
Yes, and don't forget that a visa residence will be valid only for 4 months, not more. Okay, you can have a temporary stay visa, which normally can be valid for 1 year, not 2. So it's a short stay visa. It will be valid for 1 year with multiple entries, and you can leave and come to the country. With the visa residence, it's completely different. It's a visa that will allow you to apply for your residence permit in the country. That's why the validity is only for 4 months, and you can leave and come to the country 2 times only.
Okay. Yeah. See, I mean, there's so much to know, and the average person just can't know this. This is why this is why I work with Lexidy on all my visa stuff, and why I recommend other people do as well, because it's just so complicated, and everybody's situation is a bit different. So there's no way the average person can know all the little ins and outs of this stuff. So anyway, this has been super insightful. Like I learned a ton, and I think the news is less shocking than the headlines make it appear, is what I walk away with. There's still, Portugal's still very much so open for business in this regard. There's, perhaps the same similar sort of tax incentive for active income earners, which is, I think, really exciting. And so you have lots of options. I mean, it's still a very easy country comparatively to other countries in terms of getting your visa and residency permit. So anyway, if I was in that seat applying for this and planning on making this my plan in 2024, I'd feel a lot calmer right now. So thank you, Diana.
Welcome. It was a great pleasure to be here and to discuss this with you. And don't forget, Portugal, it's not only about taxes and, the benefits. It's about how you can feel that you are at home, feel cozy, and very, very welcome here received for all of us.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing. Sometimes I think we get caught up in the logistics a lot, and I think we forget that, like, the reason 99.9% of people are moving to a place is not because of a visa or a tax incentive. That's again like a bonus. It's because you love the country, or you want to learn the language, or you're seeking a better quality of life for yourself, and that place offers it. And lots of people have made Portugal their own for that reason. And like I'm living in the country next door in Spain, like that's, there was no tax incentive for me or anything. It's just simply like the quality of life was really good, and I get to do something that lights me up and makes my life shimmer a little bit more. And so like that's what should really attract you to this lifestyle. If you're going to go through all of this, like it's got to be for that reason first.
Yes, completely agree with you. So let's make our dreams come true.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and really, really enjoyed it. We'll touch base again as we know more, and keep information coming to people as as changes continue to unfold. But based on what we know today, I think we gave a good overview of the current situation. So thank you again. Obrigado.
Thank you.
Hope to talk to you again soon. All right.
Yes.
Thanks, Diana.
Thank you. Have a nice week.
Thanks for tuning in today from wherever you are in the world. Once again, I'm Chase, and this has been another episode of About Abroad. For those of you wondering how you can best support the show, I have made it super simple for you. Just go over to the show notes of the episode that you just finished listening to and click on one of the two following links. aboutabroad.com/newsletter to get our monthly newsletter, no spam, guaranteed, or ratethispodcast.com/aboutabroad, where you can quickly and easily leave a review for the show. It's not just important to me, it also helps more wanderers just like you find us. Finally, don't forget to subscribe on your podcast platform of choice, and we will see you again next week. Thanks again. Hasta luego, amigos.